Hello, my fellow subjects of the internet out there. This is the Aromantic Shipper back again with yet another Spider-Man review. This time talking about Spider-Man 3, which I have watched before, of course, as I said. And this was the first Raimi movie I ever did watch, and understandably, I was a bit confused and kind of weirded out when I first watched this movie, but rewatching it again after all this time, what did I think about it? So, first of all, obviously Spider-Man 3 does not have such a great reputation with a lot of people. A lot of people really don't like it, and I will say that there is a lot of pretty cool stuff about this film that I do like. So, first of all, the fight scene that happens between Harry and Peter at the beginning of this movie, it's fantastic. It's brilliantly shot. It's incredibly intense. That fight scene was just, really great. And I like that the movie, just gets straight into their confrontation and doesn't waste any time. So that's something I really like about it. This movie definitely starts off pretty strong. The birth of the Sandman, everyone has already said it, but that scene is absolutely amazing. It's a thing of artistic beauty and visual storytelling. It's great. And the Sandman himself is, or at least starts out as, a pretty good and compelling and, sympathetic villain. And on top of that, I like how the black suit Spider-Man and the symbiote is initially handled. It's one of the things that I like and appreciate about this movie is that it isn't just like the suit, turning Peter evil. The movie shows that, the suit is more so enhancing Peter's negative qualities that the movie showcases with, him being kind of an overconfident jackass. Even before he gets the suit, he's kind of like, not really listening to Mary Jane and being overconfident and, talking down to people and, like, again, kissing Gwen Stacy. The movie is showing that even before Peter gets the suit, that he is sort of having these negative qualities that are coming from, the fact that he is sort of becoming very overconfident as this hero. And, I like that. And I like that, of course, the initial fight that happens between Sandman and Spider-Man, where Spider-Man, just tries to kill him for revenge for what happens with his uncle. It's pretty good, at least how it's initially handled. Speaking of which, in terms of Peter's relationship, Mary Jane feels like an actual sympathetic character in this movie who's kind of well written, which is a big shock compared to the first two movies where I literally did not care about her at all and found her relationship with Peter very uninteresting and unrealistic. I mean, I was invested in her character a lot more in Spider-Man 3. I like that the movie, shows her relationship with Peter, isn't all just super peachy keen and they're all, it's so in love and stuff. And, there are actually, a lot of problems with their relationship that they're having. And, that I especially appreciated that because, I didn't really like their relationship that much in the first place. So I like that the movie is actually showing problems with it and, some of the maybe toxic elements that start bubbling up. But anyway, so on top of that, another really great scene in this movie is the scene where, Peter is ripping the symbiote off in the church, which is, incredibly fantastic and well-directed, and I really loved it. But there are some really great aspects of this movie, but also some really big problems as well. Harry, after the first 10 minutes of the movie, when he gets knocked out, he conveniently gets amnesia and loses relevance for like an hour of the movie, which is just ridiculous. It's so incredibly contrived and ridiculous. And then he's like, throughout the movie when he has his amnesia, he's just acting like super goofy and high on life. It's just so corny, and it's like, and then later in the movie, he conveniently forgets his forgetful amnesia and he doesn't have it anymore. And his brilliant plan that he has to get revenge on Peter once again is that he tries breaking up Peter and MJ. And I'm just thinking, why? What the fuck was the point of that? It would have made more sense if, Harry had actually used, MJ as a hostage, which, again, it would have sort of been, repeating that trope that has been throughout these entire movies of MJ just being a damsel in distress. But again, but that literally happens at the end of the movie anyway. So, again, I just don't understand, what Harry's plan is to to deal with Spider-Man. Like, he just, like, he doesn't, he lost his first fight to him at the beginning of the movie, and then, like, and then, like, you know, what does he hope to accomplish, anyway, by, you know, breaking up Harry and MJ? Because what actually happens is, you know, Peter... Sorry, not Harry and MJ, Peter and MJ. I'm getting confused with the names. But anyway, after that happens, you know, Harry apparates into thin air at the diner as a truck goes by, which was incredibly ridiculous. But whatever. After that, you know, Peter shows up at Harry's house and starts fucking kicking his ass, and it's like, what did he think was gonna happen? Like, seriously, I don't understand, like, why he was so incredibly confident with, like, Peter coming there. Why did you think you were gonna win the fight, like, the second time after you completely lost to Peter, the first time after you surprise attacked him? It doesn't make any sense. What was your fucking plan, Harry? Oh my gosh. Anyway, and then after that, the freaking butler comes in and is, like, telling him how his father died. And, of course, everybody has already said it, but why didn't he tell him that before? It's just so ridiculous and contrived that he would come in at that moment, like, after Harry took a fucking grenade to the face and tell him, oh, your father, he died by his own hand. It's so dumb. And also, another big problem with this movie is that, you know, of course, there's Venom, who is introduced in, like, the last fourth of this movie, I think. And, I mean, he looks cool. He has a pretty cool design that is pretty terrifying when Eddie's dumbass face isn't showing. But it's so hard to get invested in Venom because he's, you know, introduced so late in the movie. And, you know, he has to share his screen time with the fucking Sandman, who still isn't gone. And it's like, can we talk about that? Can we talk about the Sandman in this movie? Because, seriously, like, initially, when he's introduced, he seems, you know, pretty cool and a pretty good villain. But he is just, like, he stays longer than he needs to. And I'm going to explain why. Because, explain to me why the Sandman had to be present in the climax of this movie. It makes no sense. Literally, this movie would have been 50% better if Peter had just killed the Sandman and he'd actually stayed dead. Think about it for a second. Like, really think about it for a second. But no, the studio or whoever decided, no, we can't have the main character actually kill someone because then he'd be, like, morally gray and stuff. So that would be too risque. So instead, Sandman, you know, has to come back, and Peter didn't actually kill him. And, you know, he has to randomly team up with Venom at the end, despite those two characters, like, not relating to each other at all, pulling focus away from Venom and making him feel like less of a real threat because he has to team up with the Sandman. And it's like, and then he turns from, you know, the Sandman turns from, like, this actual sympathetic bad guy who just wants to get money for his sick daughter to this giant angry monster until at the end of the movie, he and Peter just talk out their feelings, and, you know, Peter realizes that he wasn't trying to kill his uncle, so he just forgives him and lets him go. Yes, he just lets him go. What the fuck? What? That makes no sense. I mean, like, sure, he's a sympathetic guy with some sympathetic motivations, but he's also an actual criminal who tried to kill you, and what is this? I am 1000% certain that in the original draft of this movie, Black Suit Spider-Man killed the Sandman. I am 100% that was the case, and that was the decision that the writers made. But then some asshole mandated that the Sandman not actually die so he can come back and get forgiveness from Peter in the end. So he was just thrown into the end of the movie completely nonsensically. And it doesn't make any sense. It's just fucking... my gosh. So that is very bothersome. The climax of this movie is really not very well put together. It feels it's just like, it feels like there was a lot of studio meddling in terms of you know, this movie. I mean, it's, you know, so it's a lot of messy stuff. And of course at the end of the movie, Mary Jane gets kidnapped and becomes the damsel in distress for the third fucking time in the row. At least she does, like, a marginally effective thing in throwing a cinder block at Venom's head, so yay, at least she's kind of more important a little bit in the climax. This movie is a mess obviously, it tries to juggle way too much shit. You know, I think it would have been better if, it would have been way better, in my opinion, if this movie had been two movies. So let me explain how that could have gone. So basically, in this movie, you know, Spider-Man 3 would handle, you know, Peter's struggle with the symbiote suit. You know, it would have him ultimately killing the Sandman and scarring Harry's face and slapping MJ and, you know, going down the super dark path. And until at the end of the movie, basically, Peter, you know, ends up, you know, ripping the symbiote off. And the movie ends with the cliffhanger of Eddie Brock being infected. So that would basically be Spider-Man 3, and then Spider-Man 4 would actually fully focus on, you know, Peter's confrontation with one of Spider-Man's, you know, most famous villains, Venom, as, like, the final confrontation of this quadrilogy. It really didn't work much as the end to a trilogy. This movie would have been much better and much more... I don't know, again, it would have just been a lot better if it was split into two movies. There's just too much fucking shit in this movie that is really messy. And overall, like... So overall, in terms of Spider-Man 3, this movie is definitely a hot mess, but there are still some things that I really like about it. And I honestly, you know, even though this, obviously Spider-Man 1 is a much less messy movie, but in my opinion, I kind of find more to enjoy about Spider-Man 3, in my opinion, because I know, you know, in my Spider-Man 1 review, I said that I wasn't really the biggest fan of the movie, and I don't really find that much that stands out about it. So, to be honest, I kind of have a little bit more of an enjoyment for Spider-Man 3, honestly, than compared to Spider-Man 1. And come on, like, Bully Maguire, he's just too iconic. Like, this movie, were it not for this movie, the greatest meme in all of the internet history would never have been made. So, for that, it has my thanks. So, yeah, Spider-Man 3, kind of a mess. Really a mess, but underrated in some aspects, and I found some things to enjoy about it. So anyway, that's my thoughts about Spider-Man 3. I'll be back soon for my review of the Mark Webb movies. Anyway, this has been the Aromantic Shipper. Please be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And as always, remember, just because you can't feel love doesn't mean you shouldn't want other people to. Bye!